Hello musical friends, University High School. My name is Charlie St.Cyr-Paul, and some of you may know my son Alex. If you haven't met him yet, it's because he hasn't made it to the actual campus yet, but he's an incoming freshman this year. Wonderful sax player. I hope you get a chance to make some music with him. Your band director, Mr. Brown, contacted me and asked if I would be willing to share some thoughts on topics of music and in particularly essential styles of the working musician. So he came to me and I just wanted to thank him for allowing me to share some of my thoughts and let you know it's just my thoughts. I am an opinion of one. I brought some friends with me along today that are also going to give you some other opinions, so hopefully that might be of interest to you. So we're talking about the essential skills of the working musician. Now I'm going to talk about a bunch of different things. Please take out a pen or paper. If you feel like it. It's not going to be very academic, but if there's anything that piques your curiosity, if you have a question or maybe want some clarification or wondering how that was done or how much you get paid to do that or anything like that, write it down because I want to do my best to answer those questions for you live in person when we finish this presentation. So, when we talk about the working musician, we first have to establish what are we talking about? What does a working musician do? Well, I wrote down some things of what a typical working musician might do. They might be an accompanist, they might be an arranger, they might be a band director, like the two fine band directors you all have there. Maybe a choir director, a composer, a conductor, a writer, a music director, a producer, a publisher, a music teacher, a production assistant, an engineer, a recording artist, a rock star, a session musician, a songwriter, a staff writer, a sideman. There's so many different things you can do within the music industry, but we're going to focus on essential styles for this working musician. Now, these musicians can also work in bands. They can work as solo artists. They can work in cruise ships. They can work in dance bands. They work in cover bands. They can work as jazz artists. Play weddings. They play clubs. They play corporate events. They play concerts, they do tours, they go internationally, they play TV, they do game scoring music, they do original music, work in clubs, they do shows, all different things. And that's just the tip of the iceberg of what a working musician can be doing. So we're going to talk about what are those essential skills for a working musician. Now, I just have 3 goals for our time together today. I'm going to talk about some things and then we're going to talk together in person. But my 3 goals are simple. Hopefully we're going to broaden the scope of what you understand a working musician is and what skills are required to do so. We also want to share some opinions, some advice with you. And remember, I mentioned before, it's just an opinion of one. This is a very subjective art form calling being a musician. It's kind of like if I all gave you a bowl of vanilla ice cream and had you define it or describe it. It's all going to be different words. It's still good to you. And perhaps one flavor or one brand may taste better to the other person. It doesn't mean that it is better, it's an opinion. It's a very subjective art form we're talking about. The third goal is I'm hoping that we can develop some new musical relationships. We're going to have a relationship now because I'm somebody who's in the music industry as a musician and an artist, and you are also. And we're going to see each other and we're going to experience each other on and off the stage from now until we pass on. So we're developing some relationships here. Now, you say, well, why should we listen to you? Why did Mr. Brown come to you? Well, I've had about 30 years of a professional, successful career. Now that can mean a lot of different things. It could mean someone paid me $1 at one point and now I'm a professional musician. Or it could mean I've done world tours. Well, just to give you a little sense about me, I'm a producer. I've been producing live shows, concerts, producing records, and producing artists. I'm a music director. I go out on tours. I do all sorts of shows as a music director, anything from a small ensemble to a PBS show with a full orchestra and full choir. I'm a studio owner. I'm bringing you here to my house, which is also my studio. So I have those skills and I've been recording and producing for years. And then as a musician, I've toured 30 countries, every state in the US, over 20,000 shows. Wow, that's a lot. And played in venues of all different capacities. Everything from a small little jazz club of 5 people to a Bull Arena in Mexico, over 100,000 people. Played in, I want to say all genres, but I know there's some genres I haven't had the luxury of playing. I'm a big fan of clowncore, and I haven't got a chance to do that yet, but I'm working on that. And I've also written, produced, and performed for Disney, DreamWorks, Universal, all sorts of other corporate brands and such. So that's a little bit about me, and you're wondering, what does that all look like and sound like? So I prepared a little videotape of just some things I've been involved with so you can identify what it looks like to be a sideman, a music director, a producer, and all that. So I hope you enjoy.
So we don't have to sacrifice all the things we love, like our chicken fried and cold beer on a Friday night, a pair of jeans that fit just right, and the radio. I like to see the sun. If I lost you, would I cry? Oh, how I love you, baby, 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 baby. So more than I can be. You raise me up so I
So you just got to see a little sampling of some of the stuff that I do and I've done in the past. The thing we have to realize that music is so much greater and broader than maybe a marching band or a jazz band or a concert band. I mean, music as an industry is the soundtrack of life. So you saw the TV commercial that I did for one of the major networks. Every time you turn on the TV, there's music. Every video game in Minecraft, whatever game you're playing, Mortal Kombat, there's music going everywhere, and we need musicians to produce that music. So now let's talk about the essential skills of that working musician. A lot of them are not tangible skills. They're not something you're going to go to third period and discuss or talk about or even practice. You might even get through all your high school and college career or military band career, whichever direction you decide to go. You might get through all of that and never talk about these things, but yet they're the essentials for the successful working musician. So I'm going to talk about some of these broad concepts. A musician needs to know themselves. They need to know their abilities. They need to know their strengths and their weaknesses. So if I call a musician and say, hey man, I need a trombone player. We're going to just be playing some Earth, Wind & Fire songs. I need you to hit these these high double G's. Just want to make sure you go with that, and we're going to do a little Chicago cadenza at the end. So I need you to blow, except we're going to go like maybe a bebop around 320. I just want to make sure you can play over rhythm changes and you feel comfortable with that. Whatever it is, you need to know who you are and say, hey man, that sounds like that's a lot of fun. But I just played a marching band. I have a great tone and I can play Sousa like nobody. So knowing who you are, what your strengths and weaknesses are, that sets the bar for everyone else, and now we're communicating a language that we understand. I need, and I think people have identified, musicians to be flexible and open. It can't be as easy as, I play Pink Floyd and I play the Eagles. That's all I do. Well, that's great. You're going to be perfect for the Pink Floyd Eagles tribute band. But being flexible and open to listen to what someone else has as an opportunity for you to do is key. You have to know your roles. So let's say I come in and I'm the band leader. You don't automatically go, hey, I got this piece of music and I don't like it, so could you just fix that and change it for me? No, you need to know your role. Your role is to show up prepared on time and to respect the role of the band leader who's asking you to do something. Because you're going to be that band leader someday. And maybe you're going to be that producer someday. So knowing what your role is in the musical experience and going at it with a lot of respect and support. I think being punctual, being prepared, and in the moment is so key. Now when I say punctual, I mean, if you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. If you're late, you probably should be fired. That's what I mean by punctual. If you take away one thing from this day forward and you show up early for every musical engagement, prepared. Now, prepared means having your horn in good working condition. It means having all your cymbals. It means having whatever mouthpieces. It means having the right mutes for anything that needs to happen. It means having your music prepared, organized, in show order, in rehearsal order, in run-through order. Show up at the rehearsal ready to run through, not rehearse, not your practice time, to run through. And be early, and then the best part is have fun, have a great attitude. Now you'll hear from some of my other peers and contemporaries, they're going to talk about this attitude because it's so important. Greeting people with a smile, with the joy to be there. Because when you get together and play with new musicians or a new opportunity, you might be nervous. Well, guess what? Other people are too. So if everyone comes prepared, everyone shows up on time, and everyone has a great attitude, I can assure you, all the BS gets put aside and you make music. Which brings me to my final point in this section, is be in the moment. Be coherent, in the moment, to celebrate the music you're celebrating, to communicate the music you're communicating, and doing your job the way you are asked to do, because it becomes a respect for all the other musicians, you respect each other by being prepared. And have fun. Oh my gosh. What else are we here to? Music is a language that excites us emotionally. So have fun with it. And that fun is going to be infectious to the people around you. Now I'm going to let some of my friends chat with you. Now these are just people that I've interacted with this week, that I shared what I was doing for the University High School, and they said, hey, I would love to share some information that I wish I would have known, or I wish I would have heard when I was in high school. So listen up, you're going to enjoy this. Now here's my good friend Ruth, who just finished recording her 4th CD here at my studio. She is an acclaimed singer-songwriter in the blues genre. See what she has to say about what she looks for in musicians.
When I write a song, that's as far as it goes until I find the people to play the instruments to make the song what it's supposed to be. So I look for certain things when I'm looking for the musicians in the studio and live for live performances, and over the years, and found out that I'm looking for musicians who are masters at their craft, whatever instrument it is. They have to be a master. There's a certain genius that goes along with the technical expertise. You have to have that talent to start with, and then you have to have developed it. But I'm always looking for one particular quality, and I don't know if this will make sense when I say it, but I'm looking for musicians who are playing for the song and not their peers. There are the best musicians in the world who can dance circles around each other, and it's almost like a wonderful game to make sure you can play better than the next person. But what I'm looking for is the person who is not into that game, who's basically there for the song itself and the integrity of the actual production or performance. That's what I bring to your picture. I wish you the best.
Next, I want to introduce you to a good friend of mine. His name is Corey Paul, and he is an amazing jazz trombonist as well as a true entertainer who's embraced so many of the things that we talked about. See what he has to share.
Hi, my name is Corey Paul, and I'm a professional trombonist for Disney World, the Jazz Orchestra Dr. Phillips Center, as well as playing, leading, and writing for several of my own projects, such as Polyjammers and Brass House. Now, what are some essential skills that you can be focused on while you're in high school? Well, as a player and an arranger, I think both of those are things I'm good at talking about. So let's talk about playing-wise. All County and All State are both amazing tools for you. They teach you your scales as part of the audition process, plus they have excellent etudes for you to hone your skills, and if you make it into those groups, you get to make amazing memories with other musicians, importantly, that spent the time to practice and sound amazing. And trust me, the first time you get to sit down and play with a bunch of other people who have really practiced hard to sound good, you'll never forget it. It's amazing. It's an amazing feeling. Another way to practice and have fun doing it is during the solo and ensemble season, I would choose a solo a full year in advance. So solo and ensemble 2019 ended, I'm picking a solo for 2020 the next day. And it would be quite a bit out of my ability range for the moment, but I would spend the whole year practicing it. And it would often be a solo that I thought was really cool and I wanted to be able to play it, and by the next year I would be able to play it, and I would have improved so much from just practicing that one thing. So you can also play with your classmates, your friends, doing small ensemble groups, which brings me to arranging. You can write music that you and your friends like, whether it be on the radio or from a video game. And when you write those out and play them together, not only is that practicing another version of it, but you're also honing your arranging skills, which is a great thing to be doing. It'll also teach you transposition And eventually, like for me, you may have people coming up to you asking, hey, can you write a Disney medley for clarinets? And you're like, absolutely, I can do that. And now you're reading in B-flat treble clef. And that would be my advice. I mean, if you wanted to follow my footsteps, I would really look into spending some time on Finale or Sibelius, which are music notation softwares, and spending time having fun in the practice room, finding ways to play with better musicians, and really following around and learning from the people that are doing what you want to be doing. Anyway, get to work and good luck. Thank you.
The first thing I could think of, and probably the most paramount, and I apologize, Alex, my son, if you've heard this all before, but practice. Practice purposefully and meaningfully. You should have time set up in your practice. I like to look at it that there's three facets of every practice. The practice should include your fundamentals, your rudiments, the elements that are key to having proficiency on your instrument. Then you should have an element of your practice that is based around the music preparation that you have going. And this should be your immediate, reviewing what you are playing in your ensembles this week. Should be what you're preparing for the concert by the end of the year, and should also have your solo ensemble concert, solo pieces, competition pieces that you're looking to perform 6 months to a year from now. The third aspect of every practice routine, I think, should be your musical exploration. That should be finding your voice. That should be playing along with albums. That should be playing along, turn on your Alexa and pull up the greatest songs of James Brown if you're a drummer, and sit down and spend an hour just getting your groove on. Maybe it's transcribing music from your favorite video game. Anything that you can have your instrument in your hand or to your face, exploring your instrument. So again, those three elements should be part of every practice, and that practice should be scheduled, it should be consistent, and it should be all in. I want to introduce you to my good friend John. He is the consummate sideman professional. I use him on so many different jobs, all different styles. He has what it means to be a professional and the right attitude so in the bag. So I learn from him every day. Check him out.
Hi there. Thanks for allowing me to talk with you today about essential skills for the working musician. Something that I did not put into practice when I was your age, and I wish I would have done more of, is asking questions. I know that seems very simple, but there's so much to learn that nobody can ever know it all. So when you're curious about something, just make sure you find someone and ask them. For example, ask a fellow musician that you admire about something that they're playing. Or you can ask a band leader about gigging. You can ask the host of the local jam session if you can sit in. Most working musicians are going to be more than happy to talk with you about the craft. Now, I realize there's a wealth of information online, but nothing really compares to what you can learn from asking someone who's been there. So, whether your curiosity leads you to a musician you admire, or a teacher, or a peer, just be genuine, and most importantly, listen to what they have to say. That goes for On the Bandstand as well.
Okay, brass players, you're in for a treat today. My buddy Sam was in the studio earlier this week, and Sam has been around for a long time. And he's been with Disney for probably since the day they opened up, and has been so integral in making their music program a success. And he's really worked with some of the best in the world. So check out what my buddy Sam has to share.
All right. So, we play music. We play instruments. We have to work on our instruments every day. For me, one of the most important things is just really working on the fundamentals. And what does that mean? Fundamentals are doing the things that allow us to most efficiently produce the tone on our instrument and play with a pleasing musical tone to ourselves. So by working on that every day as a starting point, being able to play connected, playing soft, trumpet, for as an example, is an easy instrument to play loud, and many times we're required to play loud. But sometimes if you don't practice really soft, it can be challenging. So I try to include that at the beginning of my play every day. My practicing, I work on trying to play efficiently with a clean, pure sound, which leads to being able to play more well in tune. And by working on playing very connected, like with legato tonguing, in the beginning it can be a little bit challenging, but when you get it to the point where that fluidity and connection is happening, you have a better total control of the instrument. And that isn't, that's not the only thing that we do, but by working on that and having that under control, it makes everything else that we have to do much easier, because we have a broad spectrum of expression and control, from completely connected to being able to put space in between the notes, and then controlling the amount of attack or front on the notes. But all of that falls under that category of fundamentals, and I think that's an important part of our practice. We need to do that every day as a starting point, and that way the rest of our practice is more productive. Doing that allows us to play more effectively with other musicians, because then we can easily adjust intonation, dynamics, and style. So having the control of our fundamentals eventually allows us to then be more convincing with the different styles that we play. The most effective way to really improve our concept of playing stylistically is to listen to a lot of different types of music. And I guess that brings us to the point or concept of active listening. We can't just be having it on in the background while we're doing other things. That is passive listening, and it's almost detrimental. I think it's really important to find time for active listening every day for different styles of music, and really, really getting into listening deeply to that music. Doing that will give you a better understanding of the language, and the styles are different dialects of the different types of language of music, and that way when you're in a playing situation, when you're playing with other musicians, you can really identify and be aware of those different styles. Doing that allows you to play more convincingly, and then the other people around you will likewise be able to play better. Fundamentals, style, and then working on playing in tune and in style.
This next cat is a good buddy of mine. His name is Kyle Mattingly, and he has been accompanist and support staff to the Stars, as well as an amazing arranger, producer, and music director himself. I've learned so much from him, and hopefully you'll enjoy this clip from him.
Hey, my name is Kyle. I've been a musician for about 20 years, and I've gotten paid to play music with awesome musicians and to travel the world and have a good time. And a couple things that I've learned along the way are show up on time, be nice, and be awesome. The first one, show up on time. If you're not there at the actual gig, it doesn't matter how good you are. If you're not there on time, or if you can't get your work done on time, if somebody hires you to record something or to do something, if you can't turn that project in on time, nobody's going to hire you ever again to do anything. You have to be on time. The second thing is be nice. Music is supposed to be fun. If you're not having fun, and if the other people around you aren't having fun, again, they'll hire somebody else. It's just that simple. But if you're having a good time and you're nice to the people around you, the gigs will keep on coming in. And the last thing is just to be awesome. Whatever it is that you do, whether it's a musician or whether you're a singer or whether you mix sound or whether you make beats or whatever it is that you do, be as good at it as you possibly can. Find as many opportunities as you can to get better and practice, practice, practice. So show up on time, be nice, and be awesome.
You're going to love this guy. His name is Alain Burdett, and he has been with Cirque du Soleil for over 17 years. He was the saxophone player in La Nuba here in Orlando, also the assistant music director. Truly a world-class musician, performer at the highest level. This is Alain Burdett.
Hey guys, here's some of the stuff that I know now that I wish I knew when I was a younger musician. First thing is that you're there to serve the music. You're at the service of the music, at the service of the song that you're playing. You're not there to serve yourself. So that could mean less is more. It also means to blend with the band, blend with the orchestra you're playing in, and to deliver the song the way it was intended to be. Most important aspect of your voice on your instrument is sound and rhythm. I mean precise rhythm. When we hear a musician, the first thing we hear is the quality of the sound. And if the rhythm is not quite precise, it will sound unsure and timid. So work on these aspects of your playing. And finally, music comes from the heart. So strive to be a good human being and you'll become a good musician.
Now this next cat, I have the privilege and honor of calling a knucklehead, because he really is. He's my brother, and when we talk about musical mentors and people that have influenced us as artists, my brother John really set the groundwork for everything I've done and everything I've been able to do. Now he has a pretty thick accent, but I think you'll enjoy what he has to share.
Well, hello there, young guns. My name is John Paul, and I'm here today to share with you some of the key essentials and tools that I've used over the past 40 years as a professional musician to help not only open the doors for me, but to keep them open in this ever-changing world of music. When I think back to the beginning, of course, the first thing that comes to my mind is what? Practice. Practice, practice. Now remember, music is a language, and like any other language, the more vocabulary you possess, the more fluent you will become at speaking that language. Makes sense, doesn't it? Through the help of my parents, I was fortunate enough to always have had the best teachers in New England to help me achieve my goals, and I really think that is essential. You may ask yourself, what are my goals in music? Because they can vary quite extensively in this crazy field. For myself, I wanted to be a player, a teacher, a composer, a recording engineer, and a producer. I began with the drums as a kid and studied guitar, bass, and piano pretty much throughout my years as a player. Learning how to read, write, ear train, transcribe other musicians, and a heavy dose of music theory were really essential in my development as a player. It helped to open a lot more doors that would not have opened for me had I done otherwise. I also feel it is important to mention that having a great working knowledge of musical styles will surely increase your chance of landing a job or a gig, regardless of the genre. For instance, if you can play some country, pop, funk, jazz, and disco, rock, reggae, and other ethnic styles, you'll be bound to get a lot more work than, say, someone who can only play punk rock or ska, for example. Next, I think it's worthwhile to mention that you need to get out there and take advantage of every musical opportunity that comes your way. Say yes to everything that you can pull off, obviously. Be on time, be enthusiastic, be prepared, compliment your colleagues, be uplifting and stimulating. And I'm sure it will make a big difference in the amount of callback volume get. I truly believe that these are the key elements to launching and maintaining a successful career in the music industry. I hope that this has helped you a little bit, and I wish you the very best on your journey as a musician. Thanks for listening. Keep on practicing. Your musical friend, John Paul.
I hope you have enjoyed some of these concepts, and I hope they've enlightened and broadened your concept of what it is to be a musician and what it takes. Thank you so much for letting me share, again, my opinion and the opinion of my peers with you. As we have discussed, we would have loved to receive this information when we were in your shoes. More than anything, myself and my musical peers believe that having fun is the key to all of this. I really look forward to meeting you, chatting with you, and hopefully making music together.